Well, let's blame Netanyahu first. That seems to be what everybody's doing. This week, there was a very interesting conversation between Sarkozy of France and Obama when they thought their mics were off, where Sarkozy said that Netanyahu is a liar, he can't stand him. And Obama said, you have to deal with him. I have to deal with him every day, showing the antipathy of Obama towards Netanyahu. And of course, you have the New York Times editorial page and Tom Friedman and just about everybody else in the world who completely blames Netanyahu for any failure to have peace talks with the Palestinians. It is such a crock. And then the German chancellor says she may cancel the new submarine for Israel. Although, of course, the secret joke there is that Germany's been violating the sanctions against Iran, allowing their businesses to do business with Iran all along. Now, of course, Russia's open about it, even going to build another nuclear facility for Iran. But Germany pretends to be a friend of Israel, and then it stabs Israel in the back by violating the sanctions and stabbing the whole world in the back. Well, so can the whole world be wrong and Israel right? Yes, of course. And just think about what's going on here. League of Nations, then the United Nations promised there could be a Jewish state. The Lord Balfour Declaration in the early 20s all established the idea of a Jewish state. The UN Partition Plan said there was going to be another Arab state, a 22nd Arab state, in that little tiny area between the Mediterranean and moving east. And the Arabs rejected it, the Jews accepted it, and then the Arabs sent 5 armies to destroy the 650,000 Jews, men, women, and children who were in Israel at the time. Israel somehow miraculously won, and from that day till this, 62 years, there's been basically unrelenting warfare. There was peace with Egypt, which now seems to be in jeopardy, and peace with Jordan, but the rest of the Arab world seems to constantly blame Israel for everything. Now the whole world's jumping on the bandwagon to create this Palestinian state for this fictitious people Palestine that never existed before. Find any history book, every reference to Palestine before 1950 was about Jews. The Palestine Post, the Palestine train, everything was Palestine was Jewish. And now suddenly there's this Palestinian people. Of course, the Arabs are using this to divert attention from their own problems. And in terms of intransigence and blaming Netanyahu, I mean, even though the United States has asked Israel to do ridiculous things like a settlement freeze, which even the Palestinians never asked for, Israel's jumped through hoops to do basically what the United States has asked for, to their own detriment. Obama continues to put pressure on Israel not to build in the sacred city of Jerusalem and all kinds of stabbing Israel in the back. And yet, the Palestinians, there's no pressure on them, and they can do whatever they want. They can completely refuse to negotiate in good faith. They try and do unilateral statehood declarations, and yet Netanyahu is the one to blame. Now, why is that? How can it be that Netanyahu and Israel is to blame for failure to have peace? I mean, how can he make peace with a people who teach their kindergartners to hate Jews, where they don't even acknowledge the existence of Israel on their maps? They openly say there shouldn't be a Jewish state, where they honor the terrorists, they pay salaries to terrorists. The Fatah too, the PA as well as Hamas, not only Hamas. And so how could all of these people blame Israel for the failure to have peace when it's clear there was absolutely no desire on the part of the Palestinian, so-called Palestinian leadership to have peace? They say no Jew can live in the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria, historically Jewish land. Samaria was the capital of the nation of Israel, the 10 tribes of the north, before they were conquered in 722 BCE. So the world is completely upside down. And if you look at Jewish history, you can see clearly how this is just a new manifestation of anti-Semitism that's always existed. And now it's moved away from Christian anti-Semitism, which in a significant way has been diminished, thank God, moved towards Islamic anti-Semitism and Arab anti-Semitism. And the Persian anti-Semitism. Iran's quite open about wanting to destroy Israel. And in mosques all over the world, they preach anti-Jewish messages. I thought it was supposed to be the religion of peace. Why don't those Muslims who believe in peace and believe in moderation step forward and say this is nonsense? We can live in peace with Israel, with the Jewish people, like we did by and large in the early Middle Ages. So this idea that these world leaders blame Netanyahu, and the New York Times blames Netanyahu, and Tom Friedman blames Netanyahu, and even local Jewish writers, the editor of the local paper here where I live in Chicago, wrote a column where he blamed Netanyahu for everything. the world dumps on Netanyahu first and the state of Israel first, forgetting the fact that the Palestinians are doing absolutely nothing to contribute to peace. They're putting obstacles everywhere. They clearly don't want peace. They don't want to make any agreement with Israel. They don't want to acknowledge that there should be a Jewish state or a state of Israel. And so that's the place to put your attention. Get to the bargaining table. Bargain in good faith. Acknowledge that there should be a Jewish state. I mean, there's 57 Islamic states. There's 30-something Christian states. There's not room in the whole world for one little Jewish country. Happens to be one of the great countries of the world, contributing constantly to the betterment of the world in so many ways, hundreds of ways. In fact, just today, posted on my Facebook page about a new vaccine that Israeli doctors have developed, which will be able to forestall the reoccurrence of cancer. They do stuff like that all the time. Let Israel alone to help the world. It would be magnificent. Instead of having to devote all of their resources, so much of their resources, to simply surviving in a very hostile neighborhood. And so this is just complete nonsense. Look, I don't know all the intricacies of what goes on among world leaders, but just on the face of it, and looking at the basic facts of, you have the Israelis on one side who say, please come to the bargaining table and negotiate with us in good faith. We can figure out, if you're interested in peace, Palestinians, we can work out a deal. But clearly they're not. And so that's where the emphasis should be. And so Tom Friedman, New York Times, the editor of our local Jewish paper, Obama, Sarkozy, the German chancellor, all these people who blame Israel first, not even to mention the Arab world, look at the real facts here. Look at the real truth and see who is the obstacle to peace. We always pray for peace. Jews pray for peace in all of our prayers. Israel wants nothing more than to live in peace. Believe me, they would accept a reasonable peace treaty if they could believe that the people that are making peace with them are sincere about it. They simply do not believe it, and there's no evidence that they are sincere in wanting peace. There's no evidence. They won't come to the bargaining table. They won't negotiate. They're trying to do unilateral statehood, and the demands they make are ridiculous. But they won't even talk. And so it's just a topsy-turvy world. The Talmud calls it a lam hafuch, a world turned upside down, which it simply clearly is. So yeah, pile on Netanyahu, blame Netanyahu first, blame him for all the problems. Jews have been scapegoats since the dawn of a modern history. It goes all the way back to Haman in the book of Esther, telling Ahasuerus, the king, to destroy all the Jews. Nothing much seems to have changed. Thank God the Jews are doing well in the United States right now. There's a strong state of Israel. And despite all of this, Israel continues to contribute mightily to the world in so many ways. And I have many videos which explain that. But I think here it's simply a message about not blaming Netanyahu and Israel, but looking at the true cause of the problem, focusing on that and pressuring that group to have a change of heart and a turn of heart and to honestly negotiate and try and negotiate in peace. Otherwise, peace is ridiculous. It's just a fool's dream to think that a people that teaches their kindergartners to hate Jews are ever going to turn around. But we never stop praying for it.